So today we're going to do a binding install on an Atomic ski with an Atomic binding. The Atomic ski has the factory installed base plate. These skis are around 10 years old, although I got them brand new and they've never been skied. Bindings come with a little booklet, the Neox bindings, to fit this plate. They have about 6 pages of instructions about the parts of the binding, how to install them, how to drill the holes if necessary, and such like. So here we are with the plate itself. We're going to look at the holes we need to use. We're going to use the Neox binding holes. There's front and rear for this, depending on how long the sole of the boot is. I'm going to use the outer ones because they're the 340. You can also use Centro and race bindings if you can find those bindings available. They're the other two holes for the Neox. The other markings are for the Centro and the race. So here's the rail that holds the toe binding, and that will mount on to those holes that I just pointed to. And screw straight in, no need to drill. The holes are there, they're pre-drilled, straight in. And again, this is the heel plate for the heel binding. Again, fits on the same holes and screws straight in there. Some people don't like this system, but it's quite a handy system, I think. I think it's because of the weight. So once the plates are mounted, then you slide in the toe binding, and here's the rear binding, which slides in a similar way, but first you have to remove the clip for the brakes. Recommends in the booklet, and that's where I got most of my information. I also found some online. It recommends in the booklet that you tighten the rear screws first and then do the fronts. This is on the front toe plate. The tightening torque is 4.5 foot-pounds, or in my case I did it to just over 50 inch-pounds because that's what this smaller torque wrench is calibrated for. So once we've done that, we can do the same thing on the rear plate. The rear plate, they recommend you do the front screws first. I guess what they're trying to get you to do is the set of screws towards the inside of the binding, followed by the outside of the binding. I would normally do them as you would a head on an engine and do them cross, but follow the instructions because provided by the manufacturer for a reason. Okay, so that's the rear one mounted. As you see, we've mounted in the rear position the 340 and greater, and you get a little overhang at the back. Don't worry about that. It looks neater when you do the shorter one, but that's fine. Take the clip off. We're going to save that for later. We'll need that for when we do waxing and we drop the brake down. And now, because we've lifted the brake piece up, we can now slide in the rear binding piece. And the idea is here is you can set these up to the measurement of your boot. In my case, we're going to set it to 35. We're rounding up from 348 to 350. And you can see the mark on the plate there. Once we get it into focus, we'll try and set that up to the 35. There we go. Next job, get a front one in. Same thing, slide in from the front. And again, this is numbered down the side. You see the graticules there, and again you line it up with the 35. There is a forward mount position on here as well, if you wanted to mount your ski further forward, if that suits your style of skiing. what you should end up with is the 35 of the front and the 35 of the rear, both matching up to this mark here. And there we go, there we have it. So once you've got everything aligned, you take this piece, I can't remember what they call it, it's marked forward and central, which I think allows you to have the two positions depending on your skiing style. And this covers the ratchet mechanism in the middle that locks the boot length measurement in there. Boot length measurement, as I've already said, 348. We've rounded up to 350, which will give us 35, and let's double check before we lock this down. 35, 35. And again, we're going to use the bionic screwdriver to fasten this up in quick time. Again, 4.5 foot-pounds. There's also the screw on the anti-friction device, which we'll look at later, and that also came loose. I couldn't find a torque fitting for that, a torque value for that, so I did that again to 4 foot-pounds or 48 inch-pounds. So let's snap the boot in. As you can see, it's a very good pre-fit based on that ratchet mechanism set up to the boot length, and in it goes. DIN settings came set at 6. That's around where I want them anyway. That's my level of skiing and my weight and my skill set and my confidence of not breaking a leg. And what I will do with these is I'm going to take them to the shop before I ski them and get them to do the breakout test on the binding, just to be sure. So you might be wondering why I bought 10-year-old skis. Well, they are 10 years old, but they were brand new, they were in the wrap, and they were $50. And they matched the skis that I've skied previously, the ones on the left here. It's the anti-friction device I was talking about earlier, and the screw that was loose when it arrived, and I tightened that to 4 foot-pounds, even though it didn't say anything about that in the manual that I could find. So at least next year I'll be skiing the same ski that I skied last year, obviously with different bindings. Now the good thing about these clips is I'm hoping that I can fit them around the heel binding to help me wax instead of using a big rubber band. I always did my own waxing when I cross country skis, so why not do it for the alpines too? So, looking forward for the snow.